Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Just finished up watching the Notre Dame 2023 spring game. Got a first look at Sam Hartman. If many of you guys know, longtime listeners, went to Wake Forest, spent a lot of time watching Sam Hartman, and I couldn't be more excited for a guy like Sam Hartman to play his sixth year with a program like Notre Dame. I mean, there was a lot of talk about Sam Hartman not being an NFL kind of guy because he runs that kind of RPO mesh offense at Wake Forest. He comes into Notre Dame, and we'll talk and dig a little bit deeper into how he looked in the spring game. I was extremely impressed. And you talk about a quarterback competition between Tyler Buchner and Sam Hartman. From what I saw on Saturday, that was not a quarterback competition. Now, before we get into the game, some players that popped off, just want to say thank you to you guys again. The spring games are awesome to just get a feel of some of the young guys who are kind of emerging and going to be impact players come the fall. And the support you guys have shown truly does mean a lot. So if you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, especially Notre Dame fans. I think recruiting is going to heat up in the next couple of weeks, so stay locked in for that. And then also let me know in the comment section what you guys thought of the game and give me some players to take looks at, right? A lot of you Notre Dame fans reading the practice notes every single practice. Let me know some names that have some buzz coming out of spring practice. I appreciate that. And again, we appreciate all the support you guys have shown. Let's get into it. Let's start on the offensive side of the ball and let's talk about the quarterbacks. I want to start with Sam Hartman. He obviously looks like quarterback one, and I think most people thought him coming in. As much as Marcus Freeman and that coaching staff wants to say it's a quarterback battle, Sam Hartman looks like the guy who is in command of that offense. You look at you watch the game, and there weren't many throws that he missed, and that's when you watch Sam Hartman play at Wake Forest. That's his MO. Like, he's not the biggest. He doesn't have the biggest of a cannon of an arm, but he's going to be on time with the football. He's going to put the football right on receiver's chest, hit them in stride, and let them work after the catch. That is what Sam Hartman did at Wake. And you look at what he did in college the last 2 years at Wake Forest, 4,200 yards in 2021, 3,700 yards in 2022. There hasn't been many more prolific passers at the FBS level than a guy like Sam Hartman. And so I'm extremely excited to see what he can do in a Notre Dame offense that I feel like everyone's talking about the quarterback spot. This team's going to be able to run the ball and run the ball extremely well. Like, this offensive line, I know Notre Dame fans appreciate it. I don't think the national media appreciates how good this offensive line is. I think they have the best left tackle in the whole entire country in Joe Alt. I mean, even in the spring game, was putting people in the dirt. Like, this offensive line is going to be able to run the football. They were able to run the football last year, but what they saw a lot was 8-man boxes because they couldn't really push the ball down the field. With Sam Hartman, you saw them be able to push the ball down the field. I think you'll see some lighter boxes, and I think you're going to see a lot of these running backs. That's an extremely deep room that kind of forced a guy like Chris Tyree to go out to wide receiver because they had so many mouths to feed in this running back room. I think this running attack is going to benefit in a big way from having a guy like Sam Hartman, who safeties are going to have to respect. They're going to have to play two deep safeties because if you don't, Sam Hartman is going to pick you apart through the air. And again, what you saw from Sam was the ball's getting out on time. It's going right to the receivers, right where they need it to be, and they're working after the catch. Doesn't miss throws. You look at Tyler Buchner, not really getting the ball out quickly, taking a long time to work through his progressions, taking some sacks, and missing some throws. And it was pretty easy. And you know Tyler Buchner's talented. And I think realistically, you look at the quarterback room and how it's going to shake out in the next couple of years for Notre Dame, you feel good about it, right? Sam Hartman's your guy. He's a 6-year dude coming in from Wake Forest that is going to be a mentor in that quarterback room. And then you have a guy like Tyler Buchner. Then you have a guy like CJ Carr coming in 2024. You feel good about the young talent coming in, but it does seem like this is Sam Hartman's year. They brought him in to start, and I fully expect him to be the starter week 1 in the fall. The next storyline I want to talk about is the wide receiver play. This was something that we had a lot of question marks about last summer coming into the fall is Michael Mayer and who else. And last year, it might have been a product of the wide receivers, might probably have been a little bit more product of the quarterback play and the offense in general is there was just not a wide receiver that stepped up. It was if Michael Mayer wasn't catching the ball, that passing attack for the Irish just wasn't there. And when you look at some of the more important metrics for college football offenses, it's hitting those explosive plays. It's wide receivers making plays downfield. They didn't have that. This year, you're kind of looking at who is going to step up at this wide receiver position and kind of provide some of those explosive plays. and Lorenzo Styles transferring out, Caleb Smith retiring. So you had some question marks about, okay, who are the wide receivers that are going to step up? Jayden Thomas. Jayden Thomas looks like a guy that is going to be the wide receiver one in this offense. He's a guy with a lot of physical tools, and I think he's going to benefit massively from an experienced quarterback like Sam Hartman. Another guy you have to shout out, though, is Jaden Greathouse, the true freshman early enrollee. It's really rare to see. You see a lot of top wide receivers coming out of high school. They have all the physical traits. This, whether it's the speed, whether it's the size, whether it's the body control. What they don't really have is that polished route running and toughness when it comes to making contested catches over the middle of the field. That's what Jaden Greathouse is. I mean, he is a big body that is physical over the middle of the field, and he catches everything. I mean, you saw him take some big time hits in that spring game and catch them. We pull up his stats from the game. It was 11 catches for 118 yards on 13 targets. Like, this is a guy that was working the middle of the field. I'm not going to say he looked like Michael Mayer because he's much smaller, but in terms of like how he fit into that offense, kind of that jumbo slot, like that kind of reminded me of him. And I think he's going to be a guy that's going to be playing a lot for the Irish as a true freshman in 2023. Some other guys that you're excited about, Jayden Thomas, Jaden Greathouse were the guys that were kind of popping off for me. Chris Tyree is a very interesting story to monitor. Like he's a guy that I wanted to see get more touches last year, but quite frankly, you just couldn't work him in with how deep that running back room is. So they work him to the wide receiver spot because they're kind of depleted at that position. Screens, end arounds, working the short and intermediate routes. Like, he's a guy that you want to get 5 to 7 touches a game just because of how explosive he is with the ball in his hands. And so I'm excited to see kind of how he progresses at that wide receiver position and what other wide receivers are going to step up. And you look at what could Notre Dame be targeting in the transfer portal during the summer, during the small little window that's open. And we'll see what names hit the portal. It probably would be a wide receiver because I think you want some more bodies in that room that are proven production, right? Jayden Thomas is probably your most proven guy with Lorenzo Styles transferring out in terms of wide receiver play. And then you're relying on a lot of true freshmen. I wouldn't be surprised if Notre Dame goes out and says, let's go get a guy who's caught for 1,000 yards or 800 yards in past college football season, who's proven to be able to contribute and perform at the college football level and give Sam Hartman another body to work with. Moving over to the defensive side of the ball, I think the story was that offense under Sam Hartman, right? You see the score, 24-0. The offense that Sam Hartman, the team that Sam Hartman was running the offense for, was the only team scoring points. But you feel good about what Sam Hartman looked like in that offense when a lot of the spring practice notes that I was reading is, Sam Hartman's having a tough time adjusting. I could believe it to an extent because of how different that offense at Wake Forest was. But when you give Sam Hartman, I promise you this, as a 6-year guy, I believe a 3-time captain at Wake Forest, like, you won't have a harder worker in that quarterback room to learn the playbook, to raise everyone else's level in that quarterback room and the wide receiver room than Sam Hartman. I mean, a tremendous leader, tremendous individual that I think really does, and I don't get too much into this type of stuff, really does embody what Notre Dame football is about. So I am really excited to see this offense under Sam Hartman. I think it's going to be a lot better. Now, defensive side of the ball, you lose. I mean, if you guys follow our draft content, like you lose some guys that you like. Isaiah Foskey obviously hurts really bad to lose. Who are some of the guys that are going to step up and produce and be some disruptors on the defensive line? Some of the guys that I saw, I mean, Jason Onye, number 47, some serious power on the inside. I'm extremely excited to see how he develops. I think it's going to be a little bit more of a committee than it was last year, right? A lot of this last year was Isaiah Foskey kind of being that guy. There's a lot of guys who I think could be 6-7 sacks this year kind of players. A lot of older guys, a lot of graduate students, a lot of seniors who've played a lot of football and are going to get their chance to kind of be the guys to the most playing time they've had on that defensive line. So I'm excited to see that. Linebackers, Jalen Sneed, is he figuring it out a little bit, right? The second-year kid, former top 50 national recruit from, I believe, South Carolina. He has the athleticism. He has the physical traits to be that all-American type linebacker. Can he put it together, develop those instincts? I thought he played very well. I would not be surprised if he is playing significant snaps for this team. And then you look at the secondary. That's the strength of this team. Another guy I shout out, Jaden Osbury, the true freshman from Louisiana, playing that rover spot. He's a playmaker, and he makes tackles in space. And when you talk about having a rover on the field, you got to have a guy who can tackle in the box, but also can play in space and be good in coverage. Jaden Osbury seems like the guy that you feel good about. And then the quarterback room is absolutely loaded, right? Benjamin Morrison, Jaden Mickey was a guy that a lot of people liked last year as a true freshman. Benjamin Morrison kind of stole the show a little bit. Jaden Mickey had a nice interception where he just mirrors the receiver, plays the ball in the air. Like this secondary is really good. And I think this secondary is going to cause a lot of turnovers. And you go back to that Notre Dame team last year, like you want to see some more turnovers, only averaging 1.2 turnovers per game. How you win football games at the college level is stealing the football, taking away possessions, especially when you have a guy like Sam Hartman on the other side. So I'm excited to see this young cornerback room and secondary as a whole develop into some ball hawks. And you look at Notre Dame heading into 2023, like there's not many more complete teams than Notre Dame. I think Marcus Freeman has done a really good job bringing young guys in, and this depth chart is pretty damn complete. And that's rare to say for in the modern era of the transfer portal. You look at the top 15 teams, almost every team is looking for a certain position. And maybe wide receiver, you could say for Notre Dame, is a position you want to see more of and maybe get a producer in that room. This is a complete depth chart, and then you add one of the best quarterbacks, in my opinion. I might be a little biased. In my opinion, one of the best quarterbacks in the country in Sam Hartman, and that's kind of been the missing piece for Notre Dame. They always play good defense. They always run the football. When Notre Dame has an elite quarterback, that's kind of when they're bumping up to being that college football playoff national championship caliber team. Sam Hartman enters in, and I think you really have a guy that can take you to top 5 team in the country, top 10 team in the country. I'm really excited to see this team in 2023. I think you feel really good about where the program is going with Marcus Freeman. I get last year was kind of disappointing in terms of wins and losses. Marcus Freeman is recruiting at a high level. He turned that team around last year. Like it got off to a bad start. Those guys did not quit. They played competitive through the season, and you know they're going to play hard for Marcus Freeman. Marcus Freeman's a young coach that I think had some growing pains year one, but I think you got a good one for Marcus and Marcus Freeman, and I think you just got to wait to see how he develops as a head coach in the next couple of years. Again, wanted to keep this one short, but definitely give you guys my takes on how Sam Hartman looked in this offense. I was impressed. Again, appreciate you guys supporting us. If you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later.